Now the Spirit of the Lord is the one that speaks through me. Before my mother's womb, He ordained and knew me, ransomed me, and placed His words upon my tongue. Few are chosen, rest assured that I am one, an ambassador for Christ, His beloved Son, and by His word, let souls be one. So welcome everyone to this listening party. Sit back and let your souls be hearty. Celebrate with me the gift that God has imparted. And what better way to get this party started than to give Him the stage, because He knows where your heart is. Holy Spirit, you are welcome in this place. Give me the boldness to look upon each face and speak every word that you've given me to say. With no fear I speak truth, I won't deviate, and I'm confident that all will go great. So let your presence saturate this place. I breathe in your spirit, I intake a river full of life, watering every dry place as I flow to the notes that heaven navigates. Let it bless every listener and free them today. Let the truth of your word draw souls to be saved. Let the Comforter comfort hearts today, and let the light of your word show them the way. Every time I write, I tell His story as I bask in the truth of His word before me. He opens up to me and shows me His glory. He gives me the strength to keep on soaring, and when I open up my mouth for Him I'm roaring, and the Spirit of the Lord goes before me. To the captive set free, that's reassuring. Over the years He strengthened my inner core, and every day I wake up just seeking Him more. Am I ready for this? In my spirit I'm sure I am in Christ, and my Father I adore. He redeemed me from destruction, I am His ambassador. As the world turns and open up the door, I step in with purpose to win souls for the Lord. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of His word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of His word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of His word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of His word before me. Every time I write, I tell the story as I bask in the truth of His word before me.
Hey, gang, welcome to Tom the Bomb Sports Talk, the fastest growing show in the world. It's Monday, July 27th, and this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. If you don't think it's a great day, just try missing one. And we, LOVE, love sports and the Word of God on the Tom the Bomb Show. And yes, gang, we are live on Facebook and YouTube at Tom the Bomb Sports Talk. You can also contact us by email at info@tomthebombsports.com. And of course, you can always visit our website at www.tomthebombsports.com. Hey, gang, we'd like to personally thank you guys for your prayers. Thank you for your prayers and your support for contributing to the show and our ministry. We sincerely thank you. With that, we appreciate your patronage, and you can bless us to keep creating compelling content and spreading the word of God. You know, that's our real job, right? Okay. Our business cash app here is hashtag $ Tom the Bomb Sports Talk. Again, that's $ Tom the Bomb Sports Talk. We sincerely thank you, and may God bless you 100-fold return on the seed that you sow into our ministry at the Tom the Bomb Show. As usual, we want to start off by thanking God for all the wonderful things He's already done for us and the new things. We'll always get excited about the new things happening in 2026. Of course, our theme for 2026 is still the year of discovery for Grace for Beyond in 2026, so that we can be transformed to a level that none of us has walked in before, and that 2026 can truly be the best years of our lives. The best is yet to come. I think that's in the book of Frankie Beverly. Our foundational scripture for 2026 is found in 2 Peter 3:18, and this is from the Good News Translation Bible, and it says, "But continue to grow in the grace and the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. To Him be the glory now and forever. Amen. 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 Amen." Hey, gang, I'm pleased to announce our Community Hope Center at VCCI. We've started our grocery distribution program where we're feeding 50 families in designated zip codes, okay, on the third Saturday of each month at 11 a.m. Eastern. Our location is at 7-7 Metropolitan Court in Gaithersburg, Maryland. It's right behind the DMV off Clopper. Our zip there is 20878, and it's open to all residents of the following zip codes: 20877, 20878, 20879, 20855, and 20882. And anyone that lives in the Montgomery Village area, okay, truth of the matter is, if you show up, they will feed you, period. That's the bottom line, right, Lori? On a first come, it's on a first come, first served basis, while supplies last. While supplies last. You can scan the QR code to register, or you can also register on site. But all participants must complete a registration form, please, please, please. Our goal is to work up to 100 families soon. So be in agreement with us that we get to this goal. We want to be a blessing to the community that we serve. Amen. Amen. Hey, gang, no trivia question today. So, I know Troy and Felix, we all chomping at the bit to get to this one. So, hey, gang, often I say that sometimes the show just kind of writes itself. And this week, with the perfect timing, LeBron James, LeBron drops the bomb on where he's going to play next season in the slowest sports time of the year. You following that, Felix? After FIFA World Cup, after the Major League All-Star game, and after the British Open. People don't realize how really smart LeBron James is. He's really, really smart. He's also he's also kind of a little self-serving, i.e., I'm taking my talents to South Beach prime time on ESPN, almost like almost like it was a presidential address where all the networks have to clear airtime for the president's national address. His timing is impeccable. I heard a week ago his agent say LeBron will not be forced into an early decision on where he'll play next season. Um, Quote unquote, Adam Silver was kind of putting the press to him, like, come on, man, what you gonna do? So, in the slowest sports cycle of the calendar year, LeBron James announced that he's signing with the Philadelphia 76ers as a free agent. He agreed to a 2-year, $8 million veteran minimum contract because it's not about money, right, LeBron? Yep, yep. To join the 76ers for the 26-27 NBA season. Now, LeBron James agent Rich Paul said LeBron James' free agent decision was an emotional roller coaster every single day. Paul went on to say that Paul is the CEO of Clutch Sports Group, confirmed that James was deciding among Philly, Cleveland, Miami, and Golden State. I personally think that the basketball world should thank the Boston Celtics for foolishly sending MVP candidate Jalen Brown packing to East rival the Philadelphia 76ers on July 1st. Adding Jalen Brown alongside Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and rookie sensation VJ Edgecombe, all with his ultimate quest to run down the GOAT, Michael Jordan. Okay, that is, let's just make it plain. That's the GOAT. Okay, and his 6 NBA championships to lay claim to pursuit of becoming the GOAT of the NBA all time. Uh, Also, Contavious Caldwell Pope has agreed to a buyout from the Memphis Grizzlies and now plans to sign a 1-year deal for 3.9 million to join the 76ers after clearing waivers. Caldwell Pope also is a client of Rich Paul's Clutch Sports. He'll give the Sixers a veteran wing shooter and a defender to shake up the Eastern Conference even more. Okay. Caldwell Pope brings 2 NBA championships to the table, playing with LeBron James in 2020 with the LA Fakers and in 2023 as a member of the Denver Nuggets. It's championship or bust for the Philadelphia 76ers. It's an impressive amount of NBA All Star talent on paper. They are absolutely loaded, man. Look, this is now the Rams of the NBA. They have a massive front line, a well balanced backcourt, multiple playmakers, championship experience, and a solid second unit featuring Anthony Simmons and Dean Wade. Uh, Guys, let's jump into it. Troy, what's your thoughts on LeBron going to Philadelphia?
Uh, well, quite honestly, I don't really feel like he's still trying to chase Jordan. Because no matter what, he can win 2 more rings. People will still say that he's not better than Jordan. He can win 4 more rings, and people will say he's still not better than Jordan. He can win a scoring title, and people will say he's still not better than Jordan. So at
That is
this
true.
point, it's like why are you trying to get approval from people that don't like you, that hate on you anyway? That no matter what you do, it's just ordinary, right? So with that said, I think in regards to getting out the West was one thing, but him going to Philly with this stacked unit, this is huge for everybody, including Philly. Now, the one thing I'll say is that in regards to how this all shook up, we talked about how it was kind of like selfish on him for taking his time. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if he ain't as good as everybody, I mean, if he's as bad as everybody, well, not bad, but like if he's not the GOAT or, not in that, plateau, then why is the NBA still revolved around a 42-year-old man? Why is the schedule revolved around a 42-year-old man? Why is Christmas Day, right? Matchups. That's the reason why I'm so was mad because wherever LeBron goes, people chime in. So I think in regards to, just timing, yeah, he deserved to take his time. He ain't got nothing to prove to nobody. And, this team with him stepping in as a point guard, he's coming in, he's not going to play, he'll play the four here and there, but he's coming in as the turn setter, as the um pace setter, as the guy to, get the ball to all those guys in scoring position. We saw what he did in LA. I'm very excited to see what he'll do at age 42.
Well, Troy, first of all, uh, ain't nothing wrong with being the second or third best player all the time. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Oh, nothing wrong with that. And make no mistake about it, he is chasing 6 championships. You can forget about it. He said himself, "I'm not. It's not about the money. It's not about my family. It's about winning championships." And that's what it should be about. Nobody's going to criticize him for that, but that is what he's doing. He's trying to run down MJ. Felix, what's your take on this?
Oh, I I actually agree. I think that LeBron James, he is chasing championships. Now, I don't think he's necessarily cares to change the court of public approval. I think he wants to do it for himself. I think
Mhm.
he wants to have it as a fact that, hey, I have the most championships out of any, well, more than Michael Jordan. At the very least, more than most people can track, because there are players who technically have more rings, but we don't discuss them, right? Because, team effort, team contribution, technicalities like that. But I would actually say a thing with LeBron James, regarding LeBron James, I don't think that him going to the 76ers is going to bring him any closer. Now, I'll say this. I thought about it. The 76ers, they're a talented team, and I think definitely trading for the star from the Celtics, Jalen Brown, yes, it's going to elevate them. But at the same time, I see it this way. LeBron James was basically on a super team out in LA. He's
Yeah.
been playing with a super team for the last 4 seasons, excuse me, really close to the last 5 seasons, and still he's been able to get but so far in the playoffs. Now, here's what I'm trying to say. Typically, you're out east, maybe any other year, right? Before 2025, this 76ers team probably has enough firepower to automatically just appear in the Eastern Conference final. But here's the thing. You're not talking about the Eastern Conference of old. The Knicks are now playing better basketball than anyone than I've ever seen them play. You're now talking about the Celtics, who are going to be very dangerous when Jason Tatum comes back, with or without Jalen Brown. You're talking about, I'm not even going to count the Wizards because that's just, hypothetical right now. I'm being
Don't you
fair.
do it. Don't you do it.
Right. But you look at the Cavaliers, oddly enough. So, quite frankly, again, people are saying LeBron James is going to get it. I honestly think he doesn't get it. And I think he's going to come to the realization that he made a lateral move at best by going from the Lakers to the 76ers. He might actually either request a trade or retire, I would say, within the next season or two, because, again, I think it's going to dawn upon him that it was a lateral move. But again, like Troy said it best, you're not going to change people's opinions. It doesn't matter what you do, whether, I mean, I've seen this in different sports. People are headstrong about their favorite being the best for objective reasons, subjective reasons, whatever. It's just not going to change that quickly. And I do think Troy's absolutely right with that one.
Mhm. Well, guys, I heard an interesting take earlier today, and which I actually agree with. First of all, nobody should be punished or looked down or talked against for chasing a championship because that's what we're supposed to do. In every sport, as that famous quote, you play the game to win. Well, you play to win championships. Okay, that's what you're playing for. But this was an interesting take I heard. GM's jobs. Red Auerbach is famous for assembling a championship team and a dynasty in Boston. You know, that's what the GM's job is to do, is to establish, championship teams and to try to get as much cohesive talent together to win a championship. Well, in today's sports, especially in the NBA, the players like LeBron, like Kawhi, like a number of different people, they have clout now where they can actually decide where they want to be. So, is it a bad thing for the player to say, "Hey, I'm going to go to Miami and play with D Wade and Bosch and Ray Allen and win me a championship," or "I'm going to go to the Lakers and play with the glass man and win a championship there," or "Now I'm going to Philly because." And you guys tell me what you think. If Jalen Brown doesn't show up in Philadelphia, I don't think LeBron James is in Philadelphia. And by the way, I think that's the right place for him to go. You guys know that I'm a Golden State Warrior fan, and of course, I'd always like to see my Warriors win another one. But I, I'm actually glad he didn't go to Golden State. I don't know what Golden State's going to do now, but I think LeBron went to the right place. The thing that I love about LeBron James is that, like I mentioned earlier, he is so smart, and just like he makes the right decisions on the basketball court. What I like even more about LeBron James is that he makes the right decisions off the basketball court. I mean, come on, guys. I remember when this guy broke in on Sports Illustrated as a high schooler, the anointed King James, and I remember watching his very first game with the Cleveland Cavaliers coming out of high school as an 18-year-old, and he scored 25 points and had 12 rebounds, and I thought that was one of the most incredible performances for an 18-year-old straight out of high school to come into the come on man 25 and 12, that's dominant in the NBA. So, and from that day on, you can say what you want about him, good or bad, but this guy has made the right decision. He plays right, I know that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, and that's just what it is. But I've said this often. If I'm starting a team and I'm picking first, I'm gonna take LeBron James because LeBron James is going to make other people better. Michael Jordan needed the right parts around him, but wherever you put LeBron James, he can fit his game around anybody. That's why I think this is going to work in Philadelphia with the 76ers. And this is whether Joel Embiid is healthy or not, because this team has enough to win with Joel Embiid and to win without him. For me, okay, we've been recently talking about that. What's the number 99? Oh, is it Arnold for the Rams?
Darnold.
Darnold.
Aaron Donald.
No.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, if Darnold comes back,
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald. Okay, if Aaron Donald comes back, it's a lock for the Rams. But if Aaron Donald doesn't come back, the Rams are still the Super Bowl favorite. So if Joel Embiid is healthy, that's like Sam Arnold coming back. But even whether he comes back or not, the Rams are going to be nice. So even if Joel Embiid isn't healthy, this 76er team with Jalen Brown, Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, uh, they ain't gonna be nothing nice. The only I think let me ask you guys this: does the East belong to them now, Troy?
You didn't ask a lot of questions there.
I did. I
No,
did. But this is the topic for the day, baby.
no, the East don't. No, because here's my thing: if Joel Embiid don't stay healthy, the Sixers don't have a chance to win a championship. You
Okay.
need balance. You need balance. You need guys that's going to do the dirty work. LeBron's not a center. As well as he can play the center, he's not a true center. right? I said from jump, you talked about how 76ers was a team we should have went to a couple weeks ago. I was saying it was the Heat, just for the reason of knowing that you got Bam and Giannis to take the pressure off of you to do all the dirty work.
Mhm.
Now, if you play point guard in that system, that changes the aspect compared to playing with Tyrese Maxey, who's a true point guard,
Mhm.
BJ Edson, who's a combo guard, Jalen Brown, who could play the 2, 3, or 4, right? And it's just like, okay, who else is playing center? So I don't know, man. Basketball isn't about the most talent. It's about, like you said, with Jordan,
Mhm.
having the right pieces around you. When you
Mhm.
got a guy that gets about 16 rebounds a game with a couple blocks, couple steals, and only needs 2 shot attempts a game. And then you got a guy who's a superstar but gets paid like a scrub for 7 years on that weak contract based off what we saw during the last dance. It worked out perfect for him to take 20 some odd 25 shots a game to be able to be a multiple time scoring champion and to be in some people's minds the greatest of all time, right? We
Obviously,
got
it's not
dealt
yours.
this card
Yeah.
of all time. When
Yeah.
you work with Phil Jackson, when you work with Scotty and Dylan Harper, not Dylan Harper, Harper and
Kyle,
Ron
yeah,
Harper,
Ron
and
Harper.
Tony Kukoc and Horace Grant at one point. It ain't like he didn't have the tools around him. He had defensive perennial all stars around him, and his main job was simple: shoot the ball as much as possible. Ain't nobody gonna tell you it's a bad shot. The Sixers don't have a Dennis Rodman. The Sixers, they
Don't
make
nobody has a Dennis Rodman, Troy.
no. But when I say a Dennis Rodman, I mean a perennial rebounder and a defensive threat that doesn't need to shoot the ball more than 2 times a game. That's what I mean.
Mhm.
Not just a Dennis Rodman, someone to fill that role. Everybody on Philly starting five can drop 30 on any given night.
Mhm.
Who's going to eat on a multiple term basis? Somebody's going to have to take a back seat. I don't know who it's going to be, but Tyrese Maxey dropping 30 plus points a game, right?
Mhm.
Jalen Brown, Finals MVP. Joel Embiid, former MVP. LeBron James should have been a 4 or 5 time MVP,
I agree.
right? So it's like you got all these guys that need the ball in their hand. It's not balanced. That's cool for 2K. That's great for a video game, right? But in a 7 game series against, a team like Indiana, where they don't really got a superstar, but they got enough all stars and enough star power around to make it hard on you, yeah, it's gonna be hard for them.
So, Felix, is the 76ers approach that they can now actually kind of rest Joel Embiid and just make sure he's ready for the playoff run? Because LeBron James takes pressure off of everybody. So if you don't need Joel Embiid for 82 games, I mean, don't you kind of, what's the term? Game management? What is it?
Load
Low,
management,
yeah, low man.
and
Is that the philosophy of the 76ers now, Felix?
I don't even think that works. I would actually say that the 76ers, they need James and Embiid playing in the same games. Now,
Hmm.
I would say
Okay.
this: could you give Embiid less time, perhaps? Like we were talking about with the Lakers, with Doncic and LeBron kind of going in and out, right? Like having separate shifts
Mhm.
with the Lakers, and that was working towards the latter portion of the season. I would say if the 76ers can find a way to work that out, that would really work. Not to mention, Embiid, I would consider Embiid to be a better player than Luca when healthy, of course. So I would say that if you can keep Embiid healthy and have LeBron and everything on on board and everyone else on board, I would actually say that that creates a completely different dynamic. At that point, yes, the 76ers are a viable threat. But I would say that as long as you're trying to push Embiid and he's already injury prone, and I really hope he does stay healthy. I genuinely do because I was really looking forward to his career. But I would say that if they're able to manage, that would work. But I would say that if you're almost in a position where it's either LeBron or Embiid, they're going to get but so far.
Mhm. Troy, same question to you. Do the 76ers load management Embiid, or do you let him go like Felix is saying?
Well, here's the thing: if you do load management, what does load management mean? Are you trying to get him in a 20-minute per game cycle, right, where he's
Mhm.
not playing 35 plus minutes? Then
Yeah,
yeah, that could possibly work.
that's
But
load
then it's like,
management.
okay, but no, but then you could also say have him play full minutes, then have him play and take off a game or two a week, right? Where he's not trying to be in the MVP conversation where you have to play a minimum of 65 games a year,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, yeah, you could do that too, to where you just sit him just for the heck of it. That's what the Spurs did back in the day when Tim Duncan and Ginobili and all those guys got older. People will come see the Spurs play, and Tony Parker, Ginobili, and Tim Duncan will all be out, not because they were hurt, but because Pop decided to rest them. And it's not pretty, but if you're trying to get far, then yeah, you gotta, make it shake. But just like Felix said, you know, they need to be on the court at the same time. At some point, you're gonna have to rely on both of them to be at 100% to be able to perform for you. Joel Embiid, he's LeBron more than anybody knows. Joel Embiid has not got to the finals ever in his career
Mm-hmm.
in the East, right? As
Right, right.
weak as everybody tries to say the East is, Joel Embiid, who's arguably, top two, top three center in the past 25 years, right? Can't even get to the championship. So, my thing is that when he's healthy, he's up there with Jokic. You need JoJo to be that guy that's just reliable. He don't need to score 30 some odd points a game no more, but he needs to be on the floor to keep defenses on their toes. So to answer your question, I feel as if you give him 23 to 24 minutes a night, right? Mainly keep him in crunch time scenarios, end of quarters, momentum shifts, right? That's when you'll get the best out of it. But whoever the backup is for Philly at that center position, they better be ready to step in and step in big if and when JoJo gets hurt.
Felix, how big is the Knicks not re-signing Mitchell Robinson and their quest for a repeat?
Yeah, I would definitely say that in terms of the Knicks, what they had last season, you want to keep every single piece in place. So that's going to hurt them. I would say that's going to hurt them. And unless the Knicks find another player in free agency, or they somehow make a trade that allows them to have that sort of role player, and I don't think it'll be too much for them to do that. But if they can find a player that fits that role, they're set, and it's not going to be very hard. But as of right now, that's a gap that they should address because despite their strong play, their stellar play during the playoffs, I would say that if you take someone like him out, you maybe you have a hard time beating a team like the Spurs this time around. So I would definitely say that they need to fill in that gap as soon as possible.
Same question to you, Troy. What's the effect of Mitchell Robinson not being with the Knicks?
Uh, well, they lose they Hartenstein. You know, Hartenstein for the Thunder does everything I just explained of what Dennis Rodman did. Right? He's not really there to be a scorer, but he is there to affect the game without having to score. Mitchell Robinson made the clutchest rebound in the past 35 plus years for the New York Knicks in
Correct.
game in the game in which they came back and beat San Antonio.
Mhm.
Without that rebound, that gives the chance for San Antonio to go back down and then score after that missed free throw. I view it as situational guy. Of course, he's not looked at to be, a trendsetter in regards to just scoring. But for what he does in the dirty work, setting screens, communication on defense, second chance points, they need somebody that's, going to roll their sleeves up and say, I'm just going to play for the team and not for myself.
Last question before you take a break. So does this boil down? Well, I want both of you guys to answer this. Does this boil down to in the East, the Knicks versus the 76ers, or does anybody else in the East have a say so? Felix,
Nonsense. Oh, sorry.
go ahead. Go,
You can go for it.
go ahead,
You
Troy.
sound like you had something coming.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Troy.
yeah, I was ready for that. My fault, bro. Yeah, nonsense. I still believe, people forget how good Indiana is with a healthy Tyrese Halliburton. He's coming back. The Celtics, even though they lost Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum has been, in the limelight in regards to being a, playoff contender since he was a rookie. So the Celtics are still there. The Magic have upped their game, and the Detroit Pistons were the number one seed. So it's a toss up. As good as both of these teams are, what's great about basketball is that you can have the better team and still lose, and you can have a team that you don't think is going to be able to get to the promised land, like the '04 Pistons, and then shock everybody, and then be able to finish it off just because of how they play well as a squad.
Mhm. I think you're saying you can have the most talent, but I think the best team always wins, which I think what the Knicks did last year. I thought San Antonio was much more talented than the Knicks, but the Knicks were more had better chemistry. Felix, what's your thoughts on that one?
Right. So I would say that the 76ers, they're not a shoe-in. The East is not really between them and the Knicks. Again, just to reiterate that point, and yeah, I think Troy said it really well. I think he said it best. The Pacers are still a threat. They never stop being a threat. It's just Halliburton's out. Then on top of that, you have teams like the Cavs. You have all these teams around. The Celtics, I dare to say, are still a bigger threat, even without Jalen Brown and a healthy Jason Tatum. So you keep going around the board, and also like I said, I actually said this one earlier. The East right now is not the East of old, not the East of earlier this decade or last decade. You're talking about a hyper competitive conference right now. And like I said, LeBron James, he probably has a little more breathing room. Like I said, like in terms of total talent, he probably made a lateral move from the Lakers to the Sixers. Now, the Sixers on the East, can they get past the first and second round? Yeah, definitely if they're smart. But I would say that, again, it all depends on how well they manage their team. How well does the team manage? Who stays healthy? And again, that goes beyond just the 76ers. Who's going to be hot in the East and who plays their best basketball? And even for the not the Sixers, but the Pistons, I'm not trying to discredit them. They made a huge move because if you remember, they were at the bottom of the league. They were the only team worse than the Wizards a few years ago, and they climbed all the way up. But I'll say this: that was opportunistic. They took advantage of both the the Pacers and the Celtics, both having serious injuries in 2026. So I would also consider that. But my point stands. I don't think that anything's guaranteed to anybody in the East right now.
Okay. Real quick, right before we go to break, I know it's my show. I can do it. I want to squeeze one minute. Let's say if LeBron had went to Cleveland, Troy, does this work if LeBron's in Cleveland? Can he work with James Harden at the point? What happens if LeBron had chose Cleveland? What's your thoughts on that, real quick, Troy?
No, I mean it would have been great for promo. Like King returns back home, like that screams he got 2 more years left in his career and it's over with, right? But no, because of course, James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, they need the ball half of the possession of the game. If they don't have the ball in their hand, they're not the same player. And more importantly, it's like respect to Jared Allen, but Jared Allen's not that guy in regards to helping, lock it down to be able to have them be um NBA championship level team. I stand strong with this. I still believe Miami was the best option for LeBron.
Mhm.
I'll say that until the end of the season, until we see how this all plays out. But you can't. Let me put it this way: Giannis and Bam are going to give you at least 25 to 30 rebounds a game combined. When you get that many rebounds, you have opportunities to either one, push the break on offense, or two, on defense, or two, create second chance points for a team that has three phenomenal finishers around the rim. Um, Cleveland ain't because as good as Cleveland was this year, still, they're not built like that to be able to withstand a 7 game series. James Harden still has to guard the guys like Tyrese Halliburton and Jalen Brown
Mhm.
and all these other guys on the defensive end, and he's a liability at this part of his career. So, with that said, you put him with LeBron at 42, who doesn't have the same foot speed and lateral quickness that he did 10 years ago. Man, nah, no.
Felix, land the plane on me on that one before we go on the break.
Right. I would say with LeBron James on the Cavs, I actually think that would work. I think that would improve the team now. Do I think that guarantees a championship? No, but I would actually argue that the Cavaliers would actually overall, of course, they don't have the same amount of star power as the 76ers, but I
Mhm.
think overall, including starters and bench, maybe a better team, and you could give them a better situation. But again, I would say that that's probably just a situation that he had in LA because if you remember, LA had the star power, and I mean, and the bench wasn't that bad in LA, but I would actually say, yeah, if you were to say choose between Cleveland and Philly, I would definitely say Cleveland would be the better spot. Do I think that guarantees them a title or a conference title, a conference championship series? Not exactly, because again, the East is really anyone's conference.
Mhm. Very good, Felix. I'll just close it out by saying, wherever whatever LeBron James goes, he's going to make it better. Wherever you put him, he's going to make that team better. Hey, gang, let's take a commercial break, and then we'll be right back.
Window Nation is on the Morgan's home turf to huddle up about replacing their drafty old windows.
This free estimate is showing how easy it is to tackle the problem.
We can get any of these windows custom made.
Yes, you can get the quality and style you really want.
And at a more affordable price than they ever imagined.
Now that they've sealed the deal, they'll be saving money year-round.
We're really confident with Window Nation.
Get your free estimate today and get 60% off all windows plus no interest or payments for 24 months at getwindownation.com.
Sheltered by the Sea of Cortez, Danzante Bay is a pure and peaceful oasis, an uncrowded retreat where your options are as vast as your views. If you're seeking a vacation that defines luxury and the true relaxation, look no further than Villa del Palmar at the islands of Loreto. A splendor of true Mexican hospitality effortlessly blends with rich materials and satiable comforts to bring guests the ideal home away from home experience. With its quiet beaches, scenic vistas, rich history, and an astounding surrounding natural habitat, you'll feel as though you've been swept off to paradise. Not to be outdone, Reese Jones has crafted TPC Danzante Bay, a brilliant, multi-themed 18-hole golf course that runs over and through valleys, arroyos, dunes, and foothills. From every angle, striking images of the islands of Loreto and the surrounding mountain range take your breath away, while the challenging yet rewarding Baja Golf Course beckons you to return for more. It is an honor and my pleasure to welcome you to the world's most beautiful sunset and so much more.
Hey, gang, Tom the Bomb is back at Window Nation after 14 years away. Window Nation is a third generation window and door replacement expert company. They opened up their doors in 2006 and in Maryland, and their first showroom, celebrating their 20th year anniversary, quickly grew to serve homeowners in cities across the country. And we're grateful for every homeowner who has trusted Window Nation to upgrade their most important asset, their home. I went to work for Window Nation in 2008 from 2012, and now I'm back. If you're watching the Tom the Bomb Sports Talk Show, hey, you can now actually have Tom the Bomb himself graciously serve you with your home improvement projects with windows and doors nationwide. We currently have some awesome promotions going on. Buy four, get four, along with 24 months, no interest, free financing, same as cash, along with a lot of other great promotions. So if you need windows or doors, call Tom the Bomb at 301 655 9992. That's 301 655 9992. Or email me at info@tomthebombsports.com and leave a message, and I'll get right back to you nationwide. If you have any questions, I'll be glad and happy to serve you. Let's move on to our next topic, guys. We've got the NFL preseason begins on August 6th with the Hall of Fame game, and it runs through August 29th with 3 weeks of exhibition games. The Carolina Panthers will take on the Arizona Cardinals on August 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern on NBC. So, gang, let's start off with our top 10 NFL power rankings. And this is the top 10. but, but, I have the Alice Cowgirls falling out of the top 10 at 11. So we're gonna throw them a bone. So I actually have the Dallas Cowboys at number 11. Like the Cowboys fandom, this is the most optimistic rankings. Landing right behind the Eagles. This prediction will look very stupid if the defense is still bad. But I don't expect them to be bad on defense. I love that offense, and I like what they've done on defense, especially from their draft. Felix, what's your take on number 11, the Dallas Cowboys, Felix?
Something that's uncomfortable. A lot of other Washington fans don't want to admit this, but the Dallas Cowboys are a very dangerous team. The Dallas Cowboys averaged more points on offense than any other team in the NFL last year. That got swept under the rug because they had a so-so season. They were just hovering about 500 last year, out of the playoff picture. And what was the difference? It was their defense. Because even though they scored over 30 points in just about every single game they played, they gave up about the same amount of points in all of those games. So I would say them drafting a safety, that's a step in the right direction. Of course, you want to guard that side of the field. But really, I think that they should have probably looked into a corner. Now, granted, this safety is expected to be a generational talent,
Mhm.
but I think it would have made more sense because a corner directly works with receivers. A safety is really there to stop the play before it gets too far. That's really your last line of defense before a touchdown is scored, if you think about it. So that being said, I mean, they had a pass rush. They've had a solid pass rush even before Micah Parsons. He departs, then of course, not only that, but I would say that this pass rush isn't what it was in previous years. So the Cowboys at number 11, that makes sense. Now it's a bold move. I'm not, notwithstanding, it's still very bold to say.
Mhm.
But I would say if their defense improves, then your ranking would make plenty of sense to any other viewers.
Troy, real quick, give me something on Dallas.
Well, they always are going to have with Dak leading the room, leading the home offense that's just going to score points. Their defense is still shaky. They still play in a really tough division, and long story short, I do believe that Dallas will be pretty good this year, but again, heartbreak.
Okay, at number 10, I got the Philadelphia Eagles. The last time the Eagles came off a bad season, they rebounded to win a Super Bowl. There's still enough talent on hand for that to be a realistic goal for the Eagles and their fans. Now, like the Texans, the Eagles will only go as far as Jalen Hurts adapts to his new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion offense, especially after losing star wide receiver A.J. Brown to the Patriots. Troy, what's your take on the Eagles?
Lesson in the skies that AJ Brown is gone. We're not without having to feel like you got to force feed somebody at the quarterback position. That offense is going to flow better with Devontae Smith as number one. Devontae Smith is the perfect number one who leads by example, but doesn't necessarily need to bark to get people's attention. Then you went and go get Makai Lemon, who's just going to take pressure off of him, as a secondary guy. You still got Saquon Barkley. So, I think they're still trying to figure out who their offense is since their offensive line got disembedded with people, retiring. But with that said, AJ Brown gone, the Philadelphia Eagles are still top threat in the East.
Felix, Philadelphia Eagles.
I would say with the Philadelphia Eagles, they're really complicated. Of course, Saquon Barkley. I would say Saquon Barkley speaks for himself, of course, but I would say aside from Saquon, the Philadelphia Eagles have been practically one-dimensional last year. I usually say that they're a huge threat. We already know what Jalen Hurts is capable of, but as of late, we've just seen lackluster performances. I mean, he's gone whole halves without a single yard. That's not even hyperbole. It's a single passing yard. And sometimes even if he gets yards, you're talking about under 50 in the second half. And I've seen this. This isn't just a new trend. It's really something that I did even observe towards the end of last year. And even with Saquon, again, it's a matter of time. Even with an elite player as such, it's a matter of time before you can figure. It's just a matter of time when you're playing so one dimensionally before someone figures you out as good as you are. So I'd say the Eagles, yes, talent wise, that ranking makes perfect sense. But
Okay.
do I think that they're going to be among the NFL's elite in terms of performance, in terms of win loss records for much longer if they keep up what they're doing now? I don't think so.
Okay, let's move a little quicker to get through this. Troy, at number 9, I got the New England Patriots. The Pats are starting off on the wrong foot with their head coach missing day 3 of the draft. The AJ Brown trade is baked into this number 9 ranking for a team that definitely peaked early last year. The Pats are stronger on the lines of scrimmage, which is where this game is, pretty much won and lost. They'll need more offense in 2026-27. Troy, what's your take on New England at 9, Troy?
I like it mainly because of who they have in their division. Their division has always been known to be weak, even when Tom Brady was winning Super Bowls there. So with that said, yeah, AJ Brown's going to be, interesting to see how that meshes in. But this team is still a 10-plus-1 team.
Okay. Felix, at number 8, I got Mother Wiggs, Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes. Does anything else really need to be said? I love Mansour Delaney and Peter Woods and edge rusher Mason Thomas. The Chiefs have to get better on defense. Felix, what's your take on Mother Wiggs Chiefs at number 8?
I agree 100%, but I think the priority for the Chiefs is just getting a solid wide receiver unit. And the thing is, you don't need anyone fancy. You don't really need elite players. You just need people who consistently catch the ball.
Mhm.
That's really all the Chiefs are missing. And if you really look at it, it's not even, I would say the Chiefs do need a better defense. Their pass rush was another hallmark, but I would say they're really back to their old selves if you just get Mahomes some good receivers. That's it.
Okay. Troy, at number 7, I got the Houston Texans. They're still the dream that the defense maintains its elite level. While QB CJ Stroud tries to rediscover his rookie form, the Texans don't need him to be Joe Montana or Tom Brady with the defense they built, but they do need him to be better and not the worst QB in the league. If the Texans offense can move into a top 10 offense, they can win a Super Bowl. And CJ Stroud is exactly where Trevor Lawrence was of the Jacksonville Jaguars a year or two ago before last season. They must, they must, they must get their offensive line fixed. Troy, what's your take on the Texans at number 7?
You just said it up. I mean, everything that I was going to say, you just said. So, I mean, ultimately, it all comes down to CJ Stroud. Tank Bell being hurt definitely hurt them. But, CJ can find a way to not create turnovers. This defense can get them far.
Okay. Felix, at number 6, I got my San Francisco 49ers. They have to stay healthy. They address their receiver room, but they have the unfortunate position of being in the same conference as the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. But the 49ers find ways to win, which is why I like them. Felix, what's your take on number 6 in my Niners?
I agree. It's a team with solid roster depth and a well coached team on both sides of the ball. I would say that this is a team that really run, pass rush. They pretty much excel at any essential part of the game, and they've done this while suffering injuries that impacted every single part. So we talk about teams that have a lot of roster depth that are well managed. People mention that about the Ravens, even when they get banged up, they're still winning games. So I would say if the 49ers are able to do that, but I'd say it's to another level because they're winning consistently. They're playing well consistently, whether or not their starters are healthy. So, yes, I would say that's something to take into consideration.
Okay. Troy, at number 5, you get the Baltimore Ravens. They still they get the Ravens. The Ravens have some holes to fill, but consistently they do better in the draft as any team in the NFL. What's your take on the Ravens at 5, Troy?
Well, the Ravens just got to find a way to get over the hump in the playoffs. This is not a Lamar Jackson at all for them to be able to get to the next level. It's about everybody else around them doing their job and executing when it's time for them to execute. There are a couple drop passes and missed field goal away from being able to represent the AFC at the Super Bowl. So I think if they just find a way to get over the hump and everybody can get on board, they're still a dangerous team.
Okay, Felix, you get number 4, the Buffalo Bills, what a lot of people feel like they still have the best player in the league in Josh Allen. The question is, how soon will the defense come around? Their first year coach, Joe Brady, is going to have a lot of pressure on him because it's always Super Bowl or bust for the Bills. And for the most part, I think most fans are just hoping that they don't make it because they don't want to see the Bills lose another Super Bowl. Felix, what's your take on the Bills at number 4?
I would say the thing with Josh Allen, it's really consistency. And I mean, Josh Allen, I would say this: he does his job. He's an athletic player. He can run it. He can throw it. But I would say it's a matter of, hey, am I going to get the exact same thing out of him every single game? Especially the big games. I would actually argue it's the big games. And there are more parallels between he and Dak Prescott than people are willing to realize. I'm not going to go too far into that, but I feel like he's forgiven a little more for his errors and inconsistencies than Dak is. But I'd also say that aside from Josh Allen, you're talking about a team where I have to be honest, their defense needs some work. And even when they had an elite defense, they weren't winning these big games when it really counted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a problem. New coach in town. So I would say that if he's able to figure it out quickly, the Bills should definitely still be a playoff team. But just expect a few hiccups definitely within the first few weeks.
Okay. Troy, you get number 3, the Denver Broncos. They picked up Jalen Waddle from Miami. This team was an injured Bo Nix from the Super Bowl last season. And with that outstanding defense, Troy, what's your take on Denver at number 3?
I like Denver, but they play in probably the top 3 hardest division of all of football. And you got to go against the Chiefs, you got to go against the Chargers, and then the Raiders with Mendoza, Bowers, and Aston Gentry. I don't know, man. I feel like their defense is good enough to keep them there, and Bo Nix is a stud. But all it takes is for the Chiefs or the Chargers to really start to apply pressure, and then the Broncos to go back to being a wild card team.
Felix, are the Broncos the best team in the West?
This is going to turn a lot of heads, but yeah, they are. They just are. I mean, you can argue Mahomes is the best player in the league, or you can argue he's the best player in the West, but the Broncos have wide receivers who catch the ball, good running game, solid quarterback, top tier defense. You really don't have that kind of completion anywhere else in that division. Absolutely.
Great coaching, too. Felix, at number 2, you get the Super Bowl champs, the Seattle Seahawks. The champs went into the draft not needing to do anything crazy, but they left with a running back who figures to enter the rotation immediately and adding help for a secondary that experienced attrition and free agency. Jadarian Price should be a quality replacement for Kenneth Walker III. What's your take on the Seahawks, Felix?
Right. The Seattle Seahawks, they're a team that has bolstered their already formidable running game. Their quarterback is going to be continuing to succeed with an elite receiving core. And let's not forget the defense. I mean, you pretty much said it best. They're the Super Bowl champions. They didn't really have to do much in the draft. They pretty much have the same ensemble they had going last season. You can pretty much just expect a repeat. It's really as cut and dry as that.
Troy, give me something on Seattle.
What are the champs for a reason? They're going to miss Kenneth Walker. I'll tell you that big time. But they went and got Jadarian Price, who's the backup to Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame. So you had him with Zach Carbonet, Sam Darnold was proving himself. They're really going to miss some of the depth they have in the defensive backfield. But this team, what makes them great is that no matter really who the perennial all-star is, they're going to find a way to be consistent game in and game out.
Okay, guys, both of you guys get number 1. The LA Rams, they have a Super Bowl caliber team that you take over the whole field. If Donald comes back, it's Katie bar the door. It's it's Katie bar the door. Only major injuries will stop this team. Troy, what's your take on the Rams at number 1?
If Aaron Donald comes back out of retirement, this will be equivalent to Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors. And the reason why I say that is because the year prior to KD going to the Warriors, they lost in 3-1. They lost after having a 3-1 lead against LeBron in Cleveland. Now, again, when you bring Aaron Donald into a team that, couldn't get over the hump against Seattle, then you bring him in and you got an offense that can score 30-plus points a game. That gives 2 Hall of Famers an opportunity to do what they do best, and that's wreak havoc in the backfield. So, the Rams are legit. Puka Nacua is a dog, and it don't really matter what they do on offense, that defense is going to hold steady for them.
Felix, LA.
Right. Yes. I would say pretty much the same dynamic you got with the Rams. I mean, you're excuse me, with the Seahawks. You have a all-around team. Now, I'll say this: you have a disruptor, two major disruptors in Aaron Donald and Miles Garrett on the same offensive line. Those are two game breakers right there. So I would say that the Rams pretty much take every single thing I already said about the Seahawks. Then I say you amplify that just off of the virtue, just off of the principle of that front seven right there. Not even the front seven. Before you even get past the defensive line, you're already in trouble. So I would say basically everything I said about the Seahawks. You already have a complete offense, a solid pass rush, but your solid pass rush has both of the biggest names in that category of football.
Guys, I heard this earlier today that this could be the greatest third down defense in the history of the NFL. What's your take on that, Troy?
Yes.
I mean, you said it last week. I wouldn't say that only because of all the teams that played in NFL history. It's kind of hard to subject recency to that. But again, you got two first ballot, no doubt Hall of Famers with Aaron Donald and Miles Garrett. If you give them a lead and tell them to just get after the quarterback, yeah, good luck trying to double team either of them.
Okay, so we're talking about third down defense. Felix, what did you say on the best third down defense? What's your thoughts on that?
Pretty much. I mean, I would say if you're talking, I mean, you're speaking particularly within the context of third and short.
Third down, just third down.
Oh, third down?
Yeah, the best third down defense in the history of the NFL.
Absolutely, because guess what? Even if you're going third and long, you're not going to be able to just throw to your first read that quickly. It's not touch and release like you would on any other play to set up your drive. You need the yards and you need it now. You need the money, you need it now. So so if you're not able to develop time to get the reads, which you're not going to have, you're not going to have that time in the pocket if you have those two guys coming at you. You're going to have to you're going to have to make a decision. I'm either going to have to go with the jumbo set and limit the number of receivers I'm going with, or I'm going to have to hope that I can isolate or draw a receiver open out there in the field and I can anticipate where they're going to be and just launch it there. So, yeah, I would say they could possibly have the best third down defense. The only possible counter, again, you would probably have to go jumbo set, find a way to jumbo set, which is going to limit your number of receivers, or you're just going to go 3 receiver set with the limited time, find a way to draw a receiver open and just anticipate it there. So, yeah.
Third down is the most important down in the NFL. With you guys being Commanders fans, how often are you guys saying to your defense, just get off the field on third down? That's just that feeling is just it's like just get off the field.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let's get to our hot topics for Troy and Felix, what they want to add to the broadcast. And we're going to start off with Felix on the Commanders training camp. Excuse me, I do want to preempt you, Felix, by saying that the Commanders have fired their tight end coach, Ben Steele, ahead of training camp on suspicion of DWI on June 7th of this year. It's reported that he faces additional charges for refusing a blood or breath test and resisting an officer. Not related to the Commanders, but also I felt was newsworthy. Excuse me. In other NFL training camp news, the Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy's wife, Mia, was shot at the couple's home Sunday night, according to ESPN, by their son, Elijah Zion Bieniemy. This kid got 2 Bibles names and shot his mama. He was arrested by the police on 3 felony charges. Mia remains hospitalized and in stable conditions. Felix, take off.
So that's pretty heavy for me to follow up with football, but I would say first off, prayers and best wishes to the Bieniemy family, especially Mia, the person who was shot, and also that's really something. The last thing you want to talk about, but I would also, we still have to keep a show running, so I'm going to have to go to the Commanders. What I want to see out of the training camp.
Okay.
So I would say that first off, Jaden Daniels making sure he gets into a rhythm with his receiving core. He wasn't really afforded that opportunity last year because if you remember last year, Terry McLaurin was in the midst of his contract dispute. He wasn't really able to practice with everyone else. So, they were saying, hey, there was a lot of issues. Into that season with timing of the passes and the routes and anticipation and what have you. So I'd say definitely make sure that should be something squared away. Also factor in Jaden Daniels didn't play a full season last year. He actually hasn't played a down of football since early December. So he's definitely going to need to get in some work to make sure he's not rusty. And of course, again, he needs to develop excuse me, chemistry with his receiving core. And furthermore, with the running back core, I'd say this is more so excitement here because you already have a stellar running back core as it is, but there was also a draft pick that was made a running back. Kind of got overshadowed, Sonny Styles in the first round picks, and of course Jeremiah Love was already taken. But this running back has the same skill set as Jeremiah Love. Yes, comparable stats, and in reality, he could take over the number one spot, or alternatively, you could have a possible David Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs combo at the running back position. So that's something the Commanders should look out for there. Then I'd say on defense, I want to see what this defense is capable of. I saw that they made a free agency acquisition for a corner, drafted a safety. Is that going to be enough to run a standard defense with just regular coverage? I have my doubts, perhaps. But if not, I'd like to see how they incorporate blitz schemes in combination with coverage schemes and how that works out. Of course, it's just training camp. It's practice. You can take it with a grain of salt. But I definitely want to see the proverbial building blocks for that heading into the regular season because, again, I think the Commanders are really hot. This is the same team from 2024, and I don't want them to lose that momentum. I want them to strike the iron while it's hot, and part of keeping that hot is paying a lot of attention to these small things in training camp.
Troy, I think that the reason that the Commanders are laying back on bringing in this last veteran wide receiver is because I really honestly believe that their first choice is the Cheetah, but they just don't know if he's healthy. I think Diggs is probably the best alternative, but the reason they haven't went on and signed Diggs is I think they really want the Cheetah. Troy, what's your take on that?
Uh, I wouldn't bank on it only because one, even with him recovering, he still has no power in his left leg coming from himself. That's what he said. Right. So he's still in a position to where you don't know when he's going to be available. With our schedule being as tough as it is, if he can't be available till week 8 and we start off, 3-4, that's going to put us in a tough position even with acquiring him. Plus, I really do believe that his number one best option is to go back to Kansas City. But here's the thing: Washington, they're also slow to pull the trigger on anybody at the wide receiver position because they're deep at the wide receiver position. They're not deep with the talent that you might want, but it's a bunch of people that proven themselves that are, depth guys that they're gonna have to make tough decisions to figure out if they want to hold on to or not. So whoever they bring in, it can't be a cancer to the locker room. It can't be a distraction. I think Brandon Ayuk burned his own bridge, which sucks because when you have a chance to be able to get back and play with the college quarterback of yours that you have chemistry with, you take advantage of that. But he did it to himself.
Felix, what veteran wide receiver is still coming that you think, Felix?
I have to be honest with you. I like who the Commanders already have at the wide receiver position. This is a grossly unpopular opinion, but I don't think the Commanders need any more help at wide receiver. I think it's just a matter of the Commanders' offensive coordinator just underutilizing talent. You have Luke McCaffrey. You wouldn't know this because he rarely gets targeted. He had the highest separation rate out of any NFL wide receiver in 2024. It's just one of those stats that gets buried. Then after that, you have Jalen Lane. Whenever he's targeted, he's been a reliable receiver. You probably don't want to overutilize him because he's also going to be a kick returner. So definitely, you probably want to have him at a wide receiver 5 position. But even at that, maybe you want to prioritize his receiving ability over kick returns. Maybe that could be an argument. Then after those two, you mentioned the fact that Washington, they made a big acquisition coming out of the LA Rams for the wide receiver 2. And there's another player. Now, I would say this, though, to get around to your point. The San Francisco 49ers have another receiver, not Brandon Ayuk. Don't want to get into that story.
Mhm.
They have another wide receiver with a very similar skill set to Debo Samuel, similar stats. Perhaps if they haven't fully negotiated his contract or if it's not stable, Washington could make a pass towards him. So I would say that. I don't even think Washington needs a star receiver at 2. I think they just need someone who's just, again, good enough to split up the field. So good enough to split the field. So if you double McLaurin, that guy who you probably don't know is going to get you in a similar way. And I'm not saying this to knock anyone or to put anyone down.
Mhm.
In a similar way to Olamide Zaccheaus, he might not be what people consider a megastar, but he was very instrumental in what we were able to do in 2024.
So you
Listen,
make a good point.
go ahead, Troy.
I was gonna say you make a good point because when we made the NFC Championship game, De'Ami Brown went off the week prior against Detroit, right? It's all about chemistry. I don't need, 2 plus overalls on the outside when my team is run first anyway. This team is built off the run. The run opens up the pass. So when we talk about the guys that you said, plus Traylon Burks, plus Antonio Williams out of Clemson, who I think is going to be, a really impactful receiver coming out. They got enough depth. I think they leave it alone. Potentially, I'm not even going, front. I think they could bring Debo back.
Mhm.
But regardless, they got enough talent with their identity. They don't need to pass the ball 50 times a game to win games. They just need to control the clock.
All right, I'm just going to put this out here because both of you guys are big Commanders fan. Listen to me. One of these veterans are coming. Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, uh, Hop. What's Hop's name with the braids? Played with the Ravens last year.
DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins. One of those 3 veterans are coming. You watch. Hopkins, Diggs, or Keenan Allen. One of those guys are coming for the exact same reasons you guys just said. Somebody who can work underneath and that you trust is going to catch the ball when you need them to catch the ball. One of these veterans are coming. Let's move on. The Nationals' best trade deadline moves. Left-handed pitching Connolly early from the Red Sox in exchange for infielder Curtis Mead. Felix, take us away on your Nationals.
So I've said this earlier. I've said this on my own show. The Nationals, they've led the league in offense, in runs scored this season. And you're talking about, again, you're talking about going over teams like the Dodgers. You're talking about going over teams like the Yankees. You're talking about going over teams like the Phillies. So that being said, the Nationals, their kryptonite, it's really the relief pitching and the closing pitching. So that being said, if you already have the best offense in baseball, why ruin it by trading anybody? Really, the biggest threat is one of our star players getting lured by a massive contract. That's something to look at, to watch out for. But aside from that, I would say it's a matter of just it's a matter of simply doing this. Well, I can't say simply, but I would say this: you want to strike the iron when it's hot. If your team leads in runs scored, this sounds insane because the Nationals have been bottom feeders in the MLB. They've been near the bottom. They just got over. It was a major celebration in the fan base for us to get into 500 in the middle of the season, for us to go over 500. That was a massive celebration.
Mhm.
So for me to say from that to saying, hey, this team, if they play their cards right, they can sneak into the playoffs, probably the NLCS or beyond. I'm trying to keep it sounding realistic.
Mhm.
They could go beyond because obviously, if you have the best offense in baseball, it's just a matter of having good pitching. So, where am I going with this? The Nats might want to go all out here. All their first round picks from this year, the foreseeable future, however far ahead you can trade first round picks, or whatever you need to do to get some relief pitchers that are on the trading block, go for it. Get a whole stack, or excuse me, a whole set of relief pitchers, a whole set of closers. Get whoever you can. Go all in on doing that because this batting's not going to slow down. It's been strong even in previous years where the Nationals were faring far worse. So the batting is better than it's probably ever been in franchise history, which again sounds ridiculous.
Felix,
But so it's really
go
it's
ahead.
just a myth. It's just a matter of getting the closing and relieving because again, the starting pitchers, they're doing great. If you study the Nationals game by game, they almost shut out every single opponent by the 6th inning. So if they could But again, just fix that one part. Trade who they have to do. Trade who they have to trade. Maybe throw in a lot of future draft picks in there. This is a team that could be a contender come October.
Real quick, Felix, say it ain't so. Are the Nationals actually shopping and possibly going to trade CJ Abrams? Say it ain't so.
I'm hoping not. I read the same rumor, but again, that's mainly because these teams are luring away star players with major contracts. It's the same problem with one. Well, the Juan Soto case was slightly different because he actually took less money to go to the other team than what the Nats were offering him. So I would say that if CJ Abrams generally wants to stay on the Nationals roster, it's really up to the Nationals to keep him there. I don't think that they're going to lose him in a similar way to Juan Soto because again, losing Juan Soto was not the Nats' call. That's just something that happened. Everyone else, Schwarber and company, basically everyone in Philadelphia, that was on the Nats. But I would say, yeah. But I would say essentially it's up to the Nats whether or not he stays on the roster. The only thing that can happen is if they try to lure him with a big contract, but I think that's probably a long-term issue more so than a trade deadline issue.
Real quick, let's close out the show. Major League Baseball dark horse teams making noise in the playoffs race. Felix, at number one, I got the Detroit Tigers, anchored by elite frontline pitching and a mature young core, positioning them as dangerous threats in the American League. That's my number one dark horse. Number two, I got the Seattle Mariners, boasting strong underlying rotation depth and a high upside arms like Brian Wu. And then third, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this, Felix. But at number three, I got your Washington Nationals
Whoa.
exceeding expectations with powerful surges from young standouts like CJ Abrams. Don't trade that guy, and James Wood, making a push for a possible wild card spot. Felix, what's your take on these three wild cards? These three dark horses, I mean.
I definitely agree. Did you include Boston in there?
I did not. I did not. That was the three. That was my three dark horses. Go
Right.
ahead. Tell me what you think about Boston.
Right. In Boston, they've been on a tear as of late. I mean,
They have.
they've won just about every single one of their last 17 to 20 games.
Yeah, they
I
won. They
mean,
won 15 straight. They won 15 straight.
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a team that's very serious right now, very capable. You don't just win. Like, it's one thing to win a number of series in a row and have a few sweeps here and there. They swept 5 consecutive opponents. That doesn't just happen in baseball. No one just does that. That means that the Red Sox, they have potential. The only thing, now I can kind of see why you didn't include them in top three, because they play in a division that includes the Yankees and the Blue Jays, and you can only have but so many teams in one division go to the playoffs in baseball. It doesn't quite work like football. So I actually see why you left the Red Sox off of there now that I think about it.
Felix, let me tell you exactly why I left them off. The Red Sox won 15 games straight, and they're in fourth place.
There it is.
Now, come on now. When you look at the standings, you'll see things 2.5 games out, 5.5 games out, 7.5 games out. If you win 15 straight games and you're in fourth place and there's only 5 teams in your division, that's just too big of a jump for me, man. That's too big of a jump for me.
Absolutely.
The World Series championship, still heavily favored, is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Duh. Tom and Bob told you that last year. You get number 2 is the Yankees. Number 3 is the Brewers. Number 4 is the Braves. Number 5 is the Mariners. And number 6 is the Philadelphia Phillies. Troy, you got anything you want before we close out, Troy?
No, sir. Nothing on my mind.
Phillips, anything else before we land this plane?
Just about good here.
All righty, good show, gang. Hey, that's our show for today. Our Grace Devotionals have moved to Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. As usual, Felix and Troy, you guys nailed it. You were spot on. You guys are so good, man. Wow. Hey, listen, don't forget to like and subscribe us on YouTube and hit that like bell, please. If you're enjoying the content and you'd like to bless our ministry, okay, you can sow into the Tom Bomb Sports Talk by cash apping us at $ Tom the Bomb Sports Talk. Again, that's $ Tom the Bomb Sports Talk. And don't forget to check out our website at www.tomthebombsports.com. And you can also email us at info@tomthebombsports.com. We're trying to make this easy for you, tomthebombsports.com. Hey, gang, for a dynamic, in-depth sports analysis and highlights for sports in the DMV and more, check out the Washington Sports Den. That's really, really good on Saturdays on WBGR with my main man, Mr. Felix Bassey. His future's so bright. You got to wear shades at night. That's how bright his future is. Man, time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time here, but we sure do thank you for spending your time with us. We don't take that for granted. Listen, may the gates of heaven open and pour out an abundance of blessings down on you, but there just won't be room enough to contain it as you live off the overflow and step boldly into the realm of grace. Remember, if you want it, you got to confess it with your mouth and believe it in your heart, okay? That Jesus died on the cross and that he rose on the third day, not necessarily a Thursday, just for you. Hey, gang, Tommy Bomb wants to leave you with a thought, okay? Duct tape may patch a lot of things, but 3 nails fixed everything. Remember, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Listen, gang, it's been 7 years since our beloved coach Jim Monken went home to be with the Lord, and it's kind of appropriate now because it's seven day years. And one of the things that he taught us was the 7-second theory. He would always say, in a game, play as hard as you can for 7 seconds, and then he would say, if you apply that to life, whatever you're doing, if you apply yourself for 7 seconds at a time, you'll be amazed at how successful you'll end up being in life and in the game. So we just want to give a shout out. We thinking about you, coach. We love you. All of the Assumption Pioneers. Jimmy, we with you, baby. We feel you. 7 seconds. I told you I got you today. Hey, gang, we'll see you guys next week, this same bat time on this same bat station. Have a good evening and a great week. Felix, Troy, thanks, guys. You guys were awesome as usual.
This is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine. Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine.
Well, I'm coming out with a word in my mouth, filled with excitement to say what it's all about. For a long time, I've held this water in, let the floodgates open, let the miracles begin. I've prayed, and I've gone back 7 times, look again, cause the miracles are mine, stir the water. I'm about to step in like the pool of Bethesda, let the healing begin.
Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine. Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine.
It took a minute to get my composure right. For years it seems like I've been fighting for my life, confusing times when my days resemble nights. But now this eagle is about to take flight. I soar out of darkness to his revelation light. Though the waves are rough, I step out my comfort zone to walk on water, cause I know I'm not alone. God's got my back and reminds me I'm his own. His words are sweet in my mouth, they taste like a honeycomb. And faith has opened up my eyes. I've been through the fire, tested and tried. As I study God's word, I finally realize that my purpose to visualize, to bring the unseen from the realm of under night until I walk into the fullness of a purpose-filled life, cause I'm light. Yes, I am light, and I shine bright. I am an investment of the Lord Jesus Christ. Not only am I light, I am salt. When I enter in, I add flavor to it all. I bring truth, there's no dispute. Jesus is the vine, and in him I take fruit. I am the head, and not the tail. I'm an overcomer, made free to prevail. A new design, a special kind, ambassador followed by wonders and signs. I am light, and I give sight, leading lost souls to a glorious light. I am light.
Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine. Daughter of mine, this daughter of mine.
Okay.
This is your time.